Tonight, as you lie still beneath the ceiling of your quiet room, the world around you begins to dissolve. The walls grow soft. The air thickens, gently, like warm velvet. Outside, the night stretches far and wide, not as emptiness, but as invitation. The stars above aren't just stars anymore. They are old voices, scattered across the dome of night, whispering things you've always known but never quite heard. You listen. The darkness isn't hollow, it's deep. It breathes, it remembers. You close your eyes, and still, you see it. A sky that goes on forever, black, but not flat. It has texture, a slow swirl of deep blues and dusted silver. The stars don't flicker like candles. They pulse, as if something alive sits behind them, exhaling softly through their ancient light. The space between them, that space is not nothing. It hums, low and low, with an invisible song that has no beginning and no end. There's comfort in how vast it is. Strange, perhaps, but real. You are small, yes, but you are here, a witness, a listener, a soft mind in a quiet body, carried through the cosmos by something you can't name. Tonight, you won't run from that feeling. You'll follow it, because somewhere out there, farther than the farthest star you've ever seen, two immense things have just touched. Not gently, not loudly, just deeply. Two black holes have collided, and the universe has sighed. But we'll get there slowly. For now, you float above Earth in your imagination. You're weightless, still, and the world below is soft, like a marble tucked in cotton. Around you is a silence that isn't silent. It's full of meaning. The stars stretch in all directions, glowing like tiny portals into memory. Light, from thousands, even millions of years ago, finally arriving. And in the midst of it all, your mind slows down, because time here is different. It's not racing. It's unfolding. It's here, in this vast quiet, that we begin. Not with noise or urgency, but with breath. A breath taken by the universe long before you were born, and one that continues, pulsing softly through everything. You are floating inside that breath now. The space between the stars is not nothing. It's a fabric, a field, a quiet ancient stage, and somewhere in that field, invisible to the naked eye, black holes exist, not as monsters, not as but as curious folds in that fabric. They are not evil. They are not even loud. They are silence incarnate, and one night, not so long ago, two of them began to spiral toward each other, slowly, inevitably, like thoughts circling in a half-sleeping mind, until they touched, and when they did, they became one. But before we arrive at that union, we must first understand what they are, how they came to be, why they move the way they do, and what it means to merge, not just physically, but cosmically. So breathe in, let the sky rest just above your eyebrows. Let the stars twinkle softly behind your eyelids, and prepare yourself for a journey that doesn't rush, one that moves at the pace of gravity and light and thought. You don't have to keep up, you only have to float, and as you begin to drift, just a little deeper into that dark velvet sky, a quiet question forms in your mind like mist. What is a black hole, really? Let me know if you'd like me to continue with Chapter 2, 1,200 words. Next, or expand Chapter 1 further toward the full word count target. You drift now into the final moments of a star's life, when its light grows tired and its core begins to collapse. This isn't death as you know it, but a transformation, a quiet folding inward of something once bright. In this chapter, you'll explore how black holes are born, not in violence, but in surrender, a surrender to gravity, to time, to inevitability. You watch, gently, as a star becomes silence. You float through space, gently now, like a leaf resting on the breath of the universe. Behind your closed eyes, the stars no longer feel distant. They feel familiar, warm, like the embers of stories long told. But one star, far ahead, draws your attention. It pulses unevenly, like a heart skipping its beat. It's bigger than your mind can measure, a giant, ancient furnace. A sun at the end of its long, luminous life. You drift closer. Its light isn't as strong as the others around it, not sharp. It flickers, like a lantern nearly out of oil. This star has burned for billions of years, fusing hydrogen into helium, heat into brightness. It has fed planets, warmed moons, and scattered light across space like confetti. But stars, like everything, have a lifespan. Even they grow weary. Their fuel doesn't last forever. And when that final tank of energy runs dry, a quiet inevitability begins. It doesn't happen all at once. There is no grand explosion, not yet. Instead, the star grows heavy, not in its outer shell, but deep in its heart. It's like a tired sigh that starts in the chest and moves outward. Gravity, which once held everything in balance, now starts to win. The star begins to collapse, not with sound, because there is no sound in space, but with motion, inward, fast, relentless. You might imagine it like a ballroom dancer folding herself into a deep curtsy, faster and faster, until she vanishes into the fabric of the floor. The star implodes. The core compresses under its own enormous weight. The atoms, once held apart by heat and pressure, have nowhere else to go. Electrons are crushed into protons, protons into neutrons. The core shrinks until it reaches a point where space can no longer carry the load. And then a moment of stillness. You feel it, even here, floating light years away. The quiet that follows something immense. The hush after the final breath. From the outside, a burst of light might flash outward, a supernova, if the star is massive enough. But inside, at the very center, a seed has formed, a core so dense, so compact, that not even light can escape it. That's the birth of a black hole. Not an explosion, a collapse. You might expect something loud or monstrous, but it's not. It's a folding, a turning inward of everything, as if the star, having given everything it had to give, simply lets go. Not in defeat, but in transformation. It becomes a point, a singularity, infinitely dense, hidden behind a veil, known as the event horizon, a place where the rules of physics, the ones we cling to, start to blur, fall apart. And yet, you are not afraid. You feel a strange peace floating here beside it. The black hole doesn't roar. It doesn't chase. It just is. Quiet, ancient, like the ocean floor beneath a moonless tide, a region of space where time slows, where light bends, where even questions take on different shapes. You can't see inside it. No one can, but you can see its edges. The event horizon, not a wall, but a boundary. Like the rim of a dream you can't wake from. Anything that crosses it, light, matter, even time itself, cannot return. From this point on, in every direction, all roads lead inward. And yet, this isn't destruction, it's rebirth. A black hole doesn't erase what it touches. It transforms it. It stores it. Somewhere, somehow, information is preserved. We don't know how, not yet. But the universe rarely wastes anything. Even here, in this place of collapse, something deeper is at work. A mystery folded into shadow. You drift gently around the black hole, letting your thoughts loosen. What would it be like to fall in? To pass that boundary? You'd never know. From your perspective, time would slow infinitely. You'd freeze at the edge, held in place forever, a ghost caught in the fabric of space-time. But from your own point of view, it would be quick, smooth, inevitable. You'd be drawn inward. Not torn, but stretched, like memory, like music, like meaning. Some call it spaghettification, but that word feels too silly for something so vast. You imagine instead a ribbon of thought pulled across a canyon of time, softly, slowly, completely. And here, as you float beside this silent collapse, you realize something profound. Black holes are not rare. They are everywhere, scattered across the galaxy like punctuation marks in a sentence still being written. Some are small, the remnants of dead stars. Others, at the centers of galaxies, are millions of times more massive. We call them supermassive, but they began the same way, as stars that let go. You breathe, slowly, watching the shadows curve. Space itself seems to bow around this presence, a gentle warping, a reminder that gravity isn't just a force, it's a sculptor. It shapes the path of planets and the arc of dreams. It holds galaxies together. And here, in this quiet cradle of collapse, it whispers, even endings are beginnings. You don't need to understand it all, just feel it. The way the universe folds in on itself, and yet keeps going. The way silence holds more meaning than sound. The way a star becomes something deeper by becoming less. The way light vanishes, but memory DOESN single quotes. And now, as you float away just a little, your mind begins to drift toward the next question. If one black hole is strange, what happens when to find each other? Now you enter a part of the universe where two black holes begin to move together, silently, slowly, in a gravitational ballet. They orbit not in chaos, but with purpose. Drawing closer, over unimaginable spans of time, you drift beside them, watching the quiet magnetism of gravity as it weaves fate from distance. This is the part of the story where stillness begins to tremble, the silence before the song. Out here, between the stars, time stretches like a calm sea, and across this cosmic stillness, you see them, two black holes, far apart but faintly aware of each other. Like two ripples on a dark pond, their presence disturbs space in quiet waves. They are ancient, each born from the hushed collapse of a star long forgotten, each heavy beyond comprehension, each invisible, except for the way they bend the world around them. You float above them as if on the edge of a dream. There is no light here, and yet there is shape, curved space, gentle warping, a hum you can almost hear but never quite name. Gravity is not just a pull, it is a whisper passed between them. And slowly, so slowly, the two begin to drift closer. This isn't a collision. It's a courtship. Over millions, sometimes billions of years, they spiral. Their paths grow tighter. Each orbit curves like a ribbon drawn in slow motion. They don't speak, but the space between them changes. Their gravity reaches out, like fingers across a canyon, and every moment brings them a fraction closer. From where you are, it looks like dance. Not violent, not frantic, but deliberate. Every motion has grace. Every shift carries memory. These black holes are not just falling together, they are becoming something new. They orbit each other with such weight that even the space around them cannot stay still. It shudders. It ripples. Those ripples, you've heard of them. We call them gravitational waves, and here, you can feel them, not as sound, but as motion. The very fabric of space-time, the invisible grid that holds reality together, quivers each time the black holes spin closer. You float through these waves, feeling the rhythm, like a heartbeat, too vast to belong to anything living. But it is alive, in its own way. Every ripple is a message, a story, a vibration sent across the cosmos. For centuries, humans thought nothing could move space itself. But now you know, space can dance. Not fast, not loud, but real. Gravity, that quiet sculptor, doesn't just hold things together, it composes motion itself. And when masses this heavy spin around one another, their rhythm travels. Imagine water, disturbed by falling leaves. That's what space-time becomes when black holes meet. And yet, this ballet isn't endless. The orbits tighten. Every circle brings them nearer, and with each moment, they lose just a whisper of energy to the waves they're sending out. It's as if they're paying the price for their cosmic performance. Bit by bit, their paths spiral inward. Closer, closer. You notice the Space around them growing less stable, not in a dangerous way, but in a breath-holding kind of way, like the moment before two dancers leap, the silence before thunder. You can feel the inevitability. They are being drawn into each other, not by force alone, but by the deep agreement written into the laws of gravity. There is no rush, no panic, just motion, building with slow certainty. You drift with them, closer now. You can almost feel the mass, the way they bend time around themselves like cloaks. If you watched from a great distance, it would look like two whirlpools slowly swirling together in the dark sea, invisible to the eye, but not to the mind. And then comes a strange thought. These black holes have waited longer than life has existed on Earth, just to meet like this. Their spiral, quiet and persistent, is a promise being fulfilled after an eternity of drifting. You watch as they near one another, their event horizons almost touching now. The space between them trembles. The gravitational waves grow more intense, not in violence, but in rhythm. They peak in frequency, like a quiet crescendo of a song you didn't know was playing, and still no light, no sound, just motion, just inevitability. They are about to become one. But before that moment, there's one last orbit, the final spiral, the last loop before surrender. It is breathtaking, not because it's fast or bright, but because it is exact. The universe does not rush what is certain, and as the last ripple begins to form, the strongest wave they've ever created, you float just outside the ring of motion, watching, listening. Soon there will be one where there were two, a new black hole, heavier than either alone. But for now, this is the moment before union, the stillness before the storm of space-time, the breath drawn in before the exhale that will echo across galaxies. And as you drift there, sensing the climax of their journey, a question lingers in your mind, soft and curious. What will happen when the wave finally reaches us? You return to Earth, where quiet minds and precise machines wait patiently. Long before we ever saw black holes collide, we tried to hear them, to catch their whispers in the fabric of space itself. You step inside a temple of silence built for listening to the deepest hum of reality. This is where humanity meets the cosmos, not through sight, but through soundless vibration. The universe is speaking, and now, we are finally ready to hear. You find yourself back on Earth now, but not quite in the world of noise and bustle. No, here you step into a chamber of stillness. Long white halls stretch out in both directions, not bustling with life, but humming with purpose. This is not a temple of religion, but of listening, a place built not to look outward, but to feel, to catch the softest shiver of space itself. You are standing at the edge of LIGO, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. Two long arms stretch out from this quiet center, each several kilometers in length. They seem to vanish into the haze of distant trees and silence. But it's not their size that holds your attention, it's their intention. You feel it in the floor, a hush, a breath being held. For here, the goal is simple and impossibly hard, to sense the stretching and shrinking of space, smaller than the width of a proton, to catch the silent tremor sent across the universe when two black holes merge, like the ones you've just watched dance in the dark. Inside, lasers are shining, not for light, but for rhythm, beams of coherence. Each split bounced and reunited, their perfect timing watching for anything, any tiny shift in distance that space itself might reveal. You imagine it like this. Space is a great stretched fabric, and far away, those black holes have dropped a pebble into its surface. The ripple they send out takes billions of years to arrive, riding quietly across the stars. And here you are, standing at the edge of a machine designed to notice that ripple when it finally reaches our world. It isn't the kind of listening that uses ears. It's a feeling, a trust, a readiness to notice. And that readiness took decades of dreaming, designing, doubting, and continuing anyway, because this was the idea. If space can ripple, then surely we should be able to feel it. And if we can feel it, then maybe the universe has stories we've never heard before. You walk slowly along one of the long arms. You can't see the laser beams, but you can sense their steadiness. They're constant, always comparing. If space changes even the tiniest bit, if it stretches or shrinks, just slightly from a passing gravitational wave, the light will show it. Not by glowing brighter or louder, but by changing its timing, its interference. Like two notes, slightly out of tune. For years, there was nothing. No waves, no signals. Just the silence of hope. But that silence wasn't empty. It was preparation. You can feel it now, walking through this place. Every mirror, every vacuum tube, every calibration was a quiet act of faith in the universe's whisper. And then one morning it happened. A signal, a change so small, it lasted less than half a second. A tiny flicker in the laser's perfect timing. A soundless wave, passing through the earth, changing space just enough to be caught. The data looked like a chirp, a rising note, soft and brief, like the peep of a distant bird in deep twilight. But that chirp wasn't sound, it was motion. It was the memory of two black holes, billions of years ago, spiraling into one another. The exact dance you've just witnessed in the last chapter, their final orbit, their merging. It reached us. After all that time, it arrived not in light, but in gravity's fingerprint, gently etched across the fabric of our planet. The scientists checked it again and again. Was it noise? A truck? A fault? No, it came from the stars. And more importantly, another detector heard it too. Across the country, another LIGO station caught the same signal, separated by milliseconds, enough to say, with certainty, that the wave was real. And just like that, the universe changed, because we had heard it, not seen, not imagined, but measured, confirmed. The collision of black holes, long thought invisible, had introduced itself, not with a flash of light, but with a soft wave of motion. Space itself had carried the message, and we had finally built ears to hear. You feel something deep inside you, not excitement, but awe. This is what it means to be small and still, reach far, to be fragile, and yet to listen to something that began before our species ever walked upright. These waves traveled undisturbed for over 1 billion years and found us waiting. You look up, and though you don't see stars from this place, you feel them. You remember the dance of the black holes, their endless spiral, their quiet decision to merge, and now you know. Their final moment echoed across the universe and reached us, quietly, like a note in a lullaby sung by time itself. There's something beautiful about it, that after all the noise of the modern world, all the rushing, the chaos, the lights, it was silence that gave us the answer. It was stillness that led us here, and it was patience, most of all, that brought us to this place. You step back from the long hallway. The lasers continue their work, calm and steady. Outside, the world turns, but something inside you has shifted. You've listened to the universe, and it has whispered something true. And now, the question gently lingers. As you begin to drift again, if we can hear black holes merge, what else might we hear, if only we learn to listen, to listen? The ripples we hear are more than sound. They're messages from the hidden architecture of space. Each wave, each chirp, is a clue, a cosmic footprint of massive things colliding in the dark. In the quiet hum of the detectors, we begin to draw maps not with ink, but with gravity's touch. Tonight, you float through this invisible cartography, a universe redrawn, not by what we see, but by what we feel. It's a new way of knowing where we are, and what surrounds us. The universe has always been a map, waiting to be read. But for most of human history, we only read the parts that glow. Stars, galaxies, nebulae, our telescopes pointed outward. catching light that had traveled millions or billions of years to reach us. The sky became a sea of scattered lanterns, and we charted their paths with wonder. But light has its limits. It can be blocked, bent, hidden. The darkest places, the most massive, violent, or mysterious, often lie beyond the reach of even our most powerful eyes. That's why the waves we now feel, these gentle pulses in the fabric of space, are so precious. They come not from surfaces, but from movements. From mass itself in motion, black holes spiraling into each other, neutron stars locked in gravitational embrace. Objects so dense and strange, they give off no light at all, but when they move, when they collide, they make space-time ring, and we are beginning to listen well enough to draw maps from those echoes. You drift now through this new kind of map. It isn't made of lines or colors. It doesn't show roads or borders. It's a web, soft and delicate, woven from timing, distance, and direction. Each gravitational wave that reaches Earth carries with it a faint whisper of origin. Not just what happened, but where. Scientists take these faint signals, like echoes heard inside a vast, empty cave, and they begin to triangulate. They compare when the wave arrived at each observatory. Was it early in Louisiana and late in Washington? Did it come from overhead or from below the horizon? Bit by bit, they draw a region in the sky, a soft oval of probability. Somewhere in this stretch of space, often vast, sometimes narrow, something incredible happened. Something that sent ripples through the cosmos and touched us here, on this tiny turning planet. With each detection, the map gets richer. We now know that black holes can exist in pairs, not just single, silent giants, but companions caught in orbit. We've seen them collide, heard their final breath. We've heard neutron stars collide, to and from that. We've learned they spill gold and platinum into space, seeding the galaxies with the elements we wear and treasure. Every time the universe whispers, it teaches us something new about its shape. You float through this map now, weightless, surrounded by invisible threads. Each thread is a story, a merger, a ripple, a signal. Each is faint, but real. Some come from far across the universe, from a time when galaxies were still young. Others are closer, more recent, more detailed than this map. It isn't just showing us where things are, it's showing us what the universe is made of. Because the more ripples we detect, the better we understand the population of black holes, the behavior of gravity, the possibility of things we haven't even imagined yet. You close your eyes. Imagine someone walking across a floor above you. You can't see them, but with each step, you feel the faint vibration through the ceiling. You begin to guess how heavy they are, how fast they're walking, where they came from, and maybe, if you're quiet enough for long enough, even where they're going. This is how we now feel the universe. We are no longer just observers of light. We are listeners of space, and the beauty of these maps. They never end. Each wave adds a stitch. Each detection sharpens the pattern. And soon, this map may guide us to things even stranger, primordial black holes from the dawn of time, or hints of new physics in the way gravity moves. Some scientists dream of detecting waves from the birth of the universe itself, ripples left over from the Big Bang, still humming across time, like a lullaby sung by creation. You feel it in your chest, that quiet hope, that even in the vast, dark silence, the universe has been speaking all along. We just needed the right kind of ears. The map is still incomplete, of course. There are blank places, gaps, the kind of emptiness that feels more like mystery than absence, but even that has meaning. For the spaces we haven't filled are the ones that pull us forward. You open your eyes, floating through this unseen cartography, and for the first time, you realize the universe isn't made only of what shines, it's made of movement, of memory, of mass in motion and space in song. And in these waves, these maps, made of echoes, you're beginning to find your way. Softly now, The question begins to form, like a ripple before it crests. If we can map the dark with gravity, what hidden truths lie waiting in the deepest waves still to come, long before the first stars burned? The universe may have whispered its first notes. Gravitational waves, older than light, still travel through the fabric of space, untouched by dust, unseen by eye. To listen for them is to reach for the echoes of creation itself. Now, you drift back, far past galaxies and glow, to where time first stirred and the cosmos took its breath. The silence there is not empty. It's full of stories waiting to be heard. The further back you float, the quieter the cosmos becomes. Stars disappear. Galaxies dissolve into fog. The sky dims until even the background radiation, that soft, ancient afterglow of the Big Bang, begins to fade. And still, you drift backward, beyond what any telescope has ever seen. There is no light here, but there may be something older, even in its very first moments, when the universe was less than a heartbeat old. Space was already shifting, expanding, vibrating, curving under the weight of its own birth. And in those primal shifts, something strange and beautiful may have occurred. Waves, not in water, not in air, but in space itself. Gravitational waves, born not from stars, but from creation. Physicists call them primordial gravitational waves. They are the softest songs of the universe, the faintest trembles from a time when everything we know was compressed into something unimaginably small. Not a ball of light, not a fire, something beyond all metaphor, a seed of everything, and when it burst outward, in an expansion faster than light, called inflation, it didn't do so smoothly. It fluttered, wobbled, trembled, and in that trembling, space-time itself rang out. You float now through the concept, not quite seeing, but feeling the possibility of it. These waves are not sharp or sudden. They are stretched thin across time. They move slowly, more like the roll of a deep ocean than the chirp of a black hole merger. They are hard to find, almost impossibly so, but they are still out there. Some scientists believe stretched thin by cosmic time. Still passing through your body right now, just too gentle to feel, to hear them. We would need detectors far more sensitive than any. We've built, perhaps even a network in space, orbiting lasers and mirrors that could stretch across millions of kilometers. Listening not for sharp chirps, but for slow, rolling murmurs. And what would those murmurs tell us? They might reveal what the universe was made of before atoms existed, before light scattered freely, before gravity had settled into its modern shape. These ancient waves might hold clues to the forces that shaped everything to unknown particles, hidden dimensions, or the moment time itself began to tick forward. You close your eyes and imagine it, a single wave from that first second, gentle, patient, timeless. It passes through you like a memory you never lived, and for a moment, you understand something not in words, but in sensation, that the universe remembers its own birth, even if we don't. Some theories suggest these early waves would carry imprints of quantum fluctuations, tiny, random jitters of energy, magnified by inflation into patterns that shaped the universe's entire structure. The stars you see, the galaxies you dream of, the voids in between, all seeded by the roll of these ancient ripples. We call it noise, sometimes, background, static, but here, in the quiet, you begin to realize this noise is music, and we've only heard the first notes. Future missions, like the proposed space-based observatories, aim to find these waves, not just for science, not just to test theories, but to listen to the first sounds the universe ever made. And, if we do hear them, even one, it would be like opening a door we didn't know was there. You let that idea settle over you like mist, that maybe, long before galaxies formed, the universe sang not with voice, not with words, but with gravity, and that song is still playing now, soft, stretched thin by time, hidden beneath the hum of stars and silence. As you drift through this idea, something tugs gently at your attention, a feeling not of ending, but of opening, a sense that, if we can listen back far enough, maybe we can also listen forward, that gravity's waves not only carry memories of the past, but also whispers of what may come. The beginning is not just behind you, it moves with you, through you, and perhaps, just perhaps, the waves from the earliest times might point us toward the deepest mysteries yet, the things that don't just explain what was but what could be. You float, suspended in this thought, in this dream of ancient echoes. And somewhere, beyond time and beyond stars, you feel the universe exhale, and with that breath, a quiet question forms. If we can hear the first moment, what might we learn from the final one? Gravity doesn't only echo the past, it foreshadows what's to come. Each wave that passes through you may carry traces of the future, folded into its rhythm. In these invisible tremors, scientists search not just for origins, but for destinations. You now drift forward in time, letting the music of the cosmos guide you toward what may lie ahead. Every ripple, every ring, a clue, soft signals from what tomorrow is already becoming. You are drifting now, not backward, but forward, through currents of space that stretch into the unknown. The cosmos around you remains hushed, gentle. Stars pulse in slow rhythm. Black holes swirl at impossible distances, their gravity too vast to be seen, but too quiet to disturb you now. And through this grand, open silence, waves still move, faint undulations in the fabric of everything. Gravitational waves, not just relics of the past, you realize, but threads connecting all moments past, present, and those yet to be. Each ripple that passes through your body carries with it a pattern, not random, not chaotic, but precise, like notes from an instrument whose song you're only beginning to hear. Scientists have begun to notice this too. They don't just listen to hear what was, they tune their detectors to sense what will be. Because gravity doesn't forget, and it doesn't lie, it predicts. Take, for instance, a pair of neutron stars circling each other, tiny, collapsed remnants of dead stars. As they orbit, they emit gravitational waves, slowly losing energy, spiraling closer. It may take millions of years, but we can already hear their future. We can measure the rate of their dance, predict when they will collide, and imagine the moment they will release a burst of energy so bright it may outshine galaxies for a heartbeat in the stillness of your thoughts. You begin to understand this. The future leaves its imprint long before it arrives. Gravitational waves are not messengers, only of dramatic cosmic collisions. They're storytellers of destiny. Every shift in mass, every rotation of a black hole, every slow spiral of orbiting giants leaves a trace, like footsteps pressed into a field of wind. And by listening deeply, patiently, we can follow those footsteps into what comes next. Scientists are beginning to map entire galactic mergers before they happen. With each passing year, our detectors become more sensitive, able to pick up on subtler and subtler patterns. The data tells us that the universe is not still. It is moving, rearranging, pulling itself into new shapes. Galaxies crashing, clusters growing, horizons being redrawn, and this movement leaves waves that touch you right now, without your knowing. You feel nothing. But the fabric of space moves by a fraction of an atom's width, and that tiny movement contains the future. Imagine a black hole, light years away, slowly pulling in another. They spiral inward for centuries, and yet, here on Earth, we feel the quiet rhythm of their dance, a rhythm that tells us exactly when they will meet. It is as though the future is humming, and the more carefully we listen, the more detailed the song becomes. What if, someday, we could predict the deaths of stars before they even begin to fade? What if we could chart the merging of entire galaxies, not just with light, but with soundless tremors in the dark? What if we could know, through gravity, that something monumental was already in motion, far away, but inevitable. You breathe out, slow and warm. You are part of this rhythm. The atoms of your body are held together by ancient laws, by the same gravity that pulls on stars, planets, even galaxies. What seems chaotic is, perhaps, deeply choreographed. This is not fate, not something written in stone, but something gentler. A suggestion, a probability, a song softly playing in the background of reality, hinting at what may be. You begin to realize that gravitational waves are more than tools of science. They are invitations to look forward without fear, to study without control, to understand that the universe is not static, and neither are you. You are becoming, changing, just like galaxies, just like time. One day, maybe long after you're gone, someone may listen to the waves moving through the earth and hear the quiet signal of our star's end. Billions of years from now, when the sun cools and swells into something vast and red and strange, and they will know, not because they saw it, but because they heard its echo long before, and maybe further still. Scientists will listen for the final ripple, the last gravitational wave that ever moves, when the universe cools into silence, not with sadness, but with understanding. Because even endings make music. You float in this possibility now, ahead of you, behind you. The cosmos rings with movement, and if we can hear its songs clearly enough, we might not only predict the future, we might recognize our place in it. You feel it then, not a pull, but an opening, a curiosity. If the waves of gravity tell us about the fate of stars and galaxies, what might they reveal about the shape of space itself? Let's drift closer. The next chapter waits in silence, curving softly toward the mysteries of warped space and time. Space is not flat and empty. It bends, folds, and curves like a quiet ocean. Gravity sculpts the very geometry of existence, shaping paths that stars and light must follow. You drift now through the curves and hollows of space-time itself, learning how mass changes the stage beneath our feet. The universe doesn't just move, it reshapes the space in which all movement happens. And in this bending of silence, you find a deeper kind of connection. You drift weightlessly now, deeper into the gentle hush of space, but something around you has changed. You feel it not as a sound or a color, but as a tilt, a pull, a quiet folding of the world around you. Space, you realize, is not still, it bends. You've heard before that gravity pulls things downward, apples falling from trees, your body held to the earth. But now, as you float in this slow ocean of stars and dark fate, you begin to understand something more subtle. Gravity does not pull through force alone, it curves the space itself. Imagine laying a soft blanket on a table. Now place a heavy ball in the center. The blanket dips. If you roll a smaller ball across the surface, it curves inward, drawn not by a string or magnet, but by the shape of the blanket beneath it. That's what gravity truly is, not a hand tugging on planets or moons, but a reshaping of the stage beneath them. Mass, whether it's a planet, a star, or a black hole, tells space how to bend, and space, in turn, tells objects how to move. You float through this warped geometry now. Invisible hills and valleys surround you, not made of matter, but of the very fabric of existence. Every step you've ever taken on Earth, every orbit the moon makes around our planet, follows these hidden curves. Even light, the fastest traveler in the universe, obeys the bends. When a beam of starlight passes near something massive, like the sun or a galaxy, it does not move in a straight line. It bends. It arcs softly, pulled not by force, but by shape. And so, from Earth, we sometimes see stars that aren't really where they seem to be. Their light has taken a detour through bent space. We call this gravitational lensing, a cosmic illusion, a beautiful trick of truth. You begin to sense this bending around you, not as danger, but as comfort, because this bending is what holds galaxies together. It's what allows Earth to dance around the sun. It's what keeps your feet gently pressing into the floor when you're home. Space-time, the invisible fabric of the cosmos, is not rigid, it's responsive. It's soft enough to bend under the weight of a star, and strong enough to carry light across billions of years. Think of it like a great river, shaped by rocks and hills beneath its surface. Gravity is the current, space is the water. You are both within it, and of it, and black holes. They are not holes in the way you might imagine. They are the most extreme curves in space, so steep, so deep, that not even light can escape their embrace. If you were to fall toward one, you would feel no jolt, no pain, just an elongation of time and space, a stretching of existence until you and the moment blur into one. This bending doesn't just happen far away, it happens everywhere, even here. Even now, the Earth bends space beneath you. Your body adds a tiny ripple to the shape of the world. Even your breath, light and quiet, changes the balance in ways so small they can never be measured, but they are there. You are not a visitor in this universe. You are part of its shape. You don't just live in space, you shape it, however, gently. This realization moves through you slowly, like warmth in deep water. You begin to feel the interconnectedness of it all. The bending of space-time is not just a scientific principle. It is a whisper of unity, a quiet reminder that nothing exists in isolation. Every star that burns, every planet that turns, every black hole that spins, they do so by following the same curved instructions. And those curves ripple outward, touching everything, touching you. There is no edge to this fabric, no corner, no hard line, where space ends and something else begins. Just a continuous, seamless unfolding. As you drift through this invisible sea, you begin to wonder if space can bend. Can it also twist? Can it ripple in spirals, stretch, in ways we have yet to imagine? Might the very structure of the universe be alive, changing, responding to things we've never even measured? The scientists who study these questions work in silence, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of reverence. They map invisible bends, using clocks so precise they lose less than a second over the age of the universe. They build machines that can feel a passing wave thinner than a proton. They ask questions, not just about where space bends, but why. You rest now, suspended in the softness of the question. Space is not flat. It curves, it listens, it remembers where mass has been, and it guides where mass will go. And if space-time bends, maybe time itself is more flexible than we once believed. Perhaps time, too, can stretch and warp. Perhaps it is not a straight line at all. Perhaps time is a spiral, a rhythm, a pattern. What if the clock you follow is just one way of marking a much more fluid passage? Let's drift into that next. Let's float gently into the heart of time itself. Time is not a line but a flowing fabric, soft and strange, shaped by gravity and motion. You drift now into the rhythm of time, feeling how it stretches, slows, and speeds across the cosmos. In deep gravity wells, time itself softens, and in quiet motion, it whispers slower. This is not science fiction, it's the rhythm of relativity, where time dances with space, and as you listen closely, you begin to wonder, are you moving through time, or is time moving through you? You float, not forward, but inward toward something you cannot touch. But you always feel the soft, invisible current of time, not the ticking of clocks, or the changing of numbers, not even the sun tracing its arc across the sky. No, you are slipping into something older than calendars, deeper than hours, the very rhythm that carries all things from one moment to the next. You were told time is a line, a steady march from past to present to future. But here, in the quiet vastness of curved space and drifting light, you begin to feel something more fluid, more alive. Time is not rigid. It bends, too, just like space. This idea feels strange, but it has been tested, again and again. Satellites orbiting Earth run on clocks just like the ones on the ground. And yet, when we compare them, they disagree, not because of error, but because of gravity. Time flows differently depending on where you are. High above Earth, where gravity is weaker, time flows just a little bit faster. On mountaintops, time ticks ahead of the valleys. And near the edge of a black hole, time slows almost to a stop. This is not imagination. This is Einstein's gift, the realization that time is woven together with space, forming a single thing, spacetime. Where space bends, time bends. Where gravity deepens, time stretches thin. You are no longer simply moving in time. You are moving through a fabric that flows, curves, and breathes, and time, in return, flows through you. Your body knows this. It measures time in pulses and breaths, in the rhythm of your thoughts, the slowing of your heartbeat as sleep approaches. There is a soft music to time. You begin to sense that your life is a melody woven into this greater rhythm, each memory, a note, each dream, a quiet echo, not lost, but held gently in the folds of spacetime. Imagine, now, you are falling toward a black hole, from far away. Your descent looks slow, almost frozen, as if time around you has stretched. But from your own view, nothing has changed. Your clock ticks, as it always does. This is the strange truth of relativity. Time is not the same for everyone. It is personal, subjective. It is shaped by your motion, your position, your gravity. If you travel near the speed of light, time for you slows. A year might pass for you, while decades go by for those you left behind. This isn't fantasy. It's been measured with particles in labs, with astronauts in space. It is real, and so the future, perhaps, is not fixed. It is waiting, flexible, rippling outward from the choices made in the present. You begin to wonder now, if time can slow, can it reverse? Not in the way memories pull you backward, not in a rewind, but in the structure of physics itself. The laws allow time to go either direction. The only thing keeping it moving forward is something quiet and mysterious. Entropy. Entropy is the tendency for things to move from order to disorder. Ice melts, smoke rises, rooms grow messy, and so we experience time as flowing forward, from a neat beginning to a more complex, chaotic now. But deep down, the equations of physics don't prefer one direction. The arrow of time may be an illusion born of heat and decay. You pause, not confused, but calmed, because this means the past is not lost, not really. The moments you loved, the people you remember, they are written into the fabric of space-time, etched into its curves, as real as stars. Just not accessible, not now, but real nonetheless. You feel time now like a vast ocean, not a river with one direction, but a sea with countless currents. Your life is one path, one motion, one melody within this sea, and, just like space can have hills and valleys, maybe time has them to places where moments stretch long and slow, places where they rush by, barely noticed, and in between there may be stillness, not the absence of time, but a deep calm in which all change slows, and you simply are. You drift into that stillness now, not asleep, not awake, just resting in the cradle of space-time, wrapped in the rhythm of a universe that dances, not in seconds, but in starlight. You are no longer counting time. You are feeling it, breathing it, trusting it, and you wonder, if time is so flexible, could memory be more than a shadow? Could it be a thread, pulling gently across dimensions? Might there be more too now than we understand? Let's follow that idea softly into the realm of memory, not just in the brain, but in the stars. Let's drift into how the universe remembers, how matter carries its past in shape and story. The stars remember, the dust remembers, Even your breath carries the story of ancient suns. You drift now into the idea that memory is not confined to the mind, but written everywhere in motion, in form, in light. Every atom tells a tale, and the universe, in its quiet unfolding, never forgets. You are not separate from this remembering. You are part of it, living and echoing within it. And as the story slows, a deeper peace settles. You were always held by something vast and timeless. You are floating now, between thought and dream, where the stars glow faint and the silence deepens, and in this soft stillness, a quiet realization rises. The universe does not forget, not in the way you remember a face or a song, not in pictures or language, but in patterns, in echoes, in motion. You begin to sense that every particle, every atom, every grain of dust holds a story, not told, but felt, woven into its shape, its vibration, its path through space. The carbon in your body, for instance, was born in the heart of a dying star. A supernova scattered it into space, a brilliant farewell that seeded the cosmos with building blocks. You breathe that carbon now. You are made of it, and without words, that atom remembers. It remembers fire. It remembers gravity and fusion. It remembers being part of something colossal, and now, something conscious. Your body, too, is a memory. A memory of evolution, of ancestors walking under ancient skies, of cells dividing, surviving, adapting, learning. Your heartbeat is a drum that echoes through millions of years, not a repetition, but a deep continuity. Even your breath, slow and soft in the quiet night, carries oxygen made in stars. You inhale a molecule, and inside it lives a journey through time. Everything remembers. The moon remembers collisions. The earth remembers pressure. The rocks beneath your feet remember heat and age, and the long, patient erosion of wind and rain. Memory is not just a function of brains. It is a function of being. And in the quiet of night, you begin to feel that memory is everywhere. Light, too, remembers. A photon travels across the galaxy, never aging, never slowing, carrying the story of its origin. Perhaps it was born in the swirl of a nebula, or at the edge of a black hole. It touches your eye, and you see a star. But what you see is not now, it is then. Thousands, sometimes millions of years ago. Light tells the past. It is memory in motion. Even gravity leaves impressions, subtle ripples in space-time called gravitational waves. They move through the universe like soft fingerprints, recording cosmic events long after they end. The merging of black holes, the birth of neutron stars, and we, on this quiet planet, have built instruments sensitive enough to hear those echoes. We are listening to the universe remember itself. You feel, in this moment, a part of that process. You are not outside the cosmos, observing. You are inside it, woven into its memory. Every thought you have sends signals through your neurons, electrical pulses dancing along pathways shaped by experience. These too are memories, your story. But those pulses follow rules written by the universe, by electromagnetism, by chemistry, by the very structure of atoms. You are not a machine with a memory. You are memory, becoming aware. Even dreams, in their strange logic and soft surrealism, are a form of remembering. Not just replaying, but weaving, reinterpreting, composing, and maybe, just maybe, the universe dreams, not with minds, but with patterns. The spiral of galaxies, the rings of Saturn, the branching of trees, the flow of rivers, each a memory of the forces that shaped them, a response, a record, a quiet unfolding. And so you lie still now, wrapped in the thought that your life is not forgotten. Every moment you've lived has left a mark somewhere, somehow, in the atoms you've touched, the light you've reflected, the waves you've stirred. There is no final erasure, only transformation. Even when you sleep, your body remembers how to breathe, how to heal, how to dream. Even when you forget, Your cells remember. Your muscles remember. The earth remembers you by the warmth of your step. The air by the whisper of your sigh. You do not vanish. You become air, and soil, and story, and the universe, in all its vastness, keeps that story alive, not because it tries to, but because it can't help it. Because memory, like gravity, is part of the shape of things. You are not a small thing in a big cosmos. You are the cosmos, remembering itself softly, gently, in the quiet rhythm of breath and thought and wonder. You are a soft wave in a deep ocean of time. You are not alone. You never were. You are home. So now, let your body rest. Let your thoughts settle, like dust on starlight. Let yourself drift, not away, but deeper into the memory of the universe, into the silence it sings, into sleep, and into the gentle gravity of peace. Peace.